Welcome back to the AAA MF YouTube channel. Look what I have behind me, a Maserati MC20. We've come all the way to the Czech Republic to film this exclusive content, but let's see what else they have in the showroom. A brand new GT4 with a PDK gearbox, a Ferrari SF90, a GT2 RS, a Portofino, a black Ferrari Roma, and a really rare Boxster 25th anniversary. A&R Cars in Ostrava have been selling cars since 2004, and they sell these cars all around the world. And in fact, this MC20, which is the first and only car in the Czech Republic, has already been sold, and we are going to take it out today. Join us for the ride. So we're in the Czech Republic because I couldn't get my hands on one in the UK. So thank you to AR Cars, and also thanks to our sponsor Magnitude Finance, who've managed to make this happen. What are my first impressions? Very, very fast. The handling is lovely and direct, very light. It feels very light, even at higher speeds. It doesn't get heavier at higher speeds like some other sports cars. It feels very nimble. Obviously the carbon tub helps with rigidity and also helps with the tautness of the chassis and the handling. And also obviously helps to reduce the weight. But obviously this has all the modern bits in it, so obviously electric windows and sat nav and electric seats, which all add to the weight. Feels very Italian in terms of the feel when you're driving it, like very light. It feels very much like a Ferrari, except it doesn't have that deep V8 that you get in something like the F8 Tributo. And I would say the cabin isn't as good as an F8 Tributo, but it's nice. The seats are really comfortable, and we've been driving now for about an hour, and the seats are really nice. I love the steering wheel. It's Alcantara with carbon at the top and the bottom. Looks like a really quality product. But I wonder who Maserati were really targeting when they brought this car out, because coming in at around £200,000 list. Would you choose this over the new 911 GT3? I would imagine an F8 Tributo is probably coming in at around 220, 230 new. So it's going to be more expensive than this. And probably this is going to appeal to people that already have a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, and they want to have something a little bit different. So you need to keep it in that power band, which is around 3,000 to 4,500 RPM to keep the turbo on boost. And if you do that, you've got endless amounts of power. Now, this is a brand new car and it's not really run in. So I think that the engine will probably get louder, but at the moment the engine really is very, very quiet. What's nice about this car, I think, is that it looks completely different from the competition, especially with those amazing butterfly doors. It really looks special, and I actually think, even though it's got quite a high price tag, it actually looks more expensive than it is. This could sit next to any hypercar and it would still look good. Because it's so different, I think that's really why it looks so nice. You know, there's so many Ferraris and Porsches out there, and they do look good, but this is something a bit different, and I would imagine that will appeal to a lot of people. This is very, very easy to drive. and it doesn't feel like a manic supercar that's hard to drive. Really easy to drive, something you could do long distances or use it as a daily driver. And I think that's where Maserati are really focusing on this car. And I wouldn't be surprised if they came out with hardcore versions of this car, because it's definitely got the potential to do that in terms of the styling, and I would say the engine as well. I'm going to go for a nice drive now, enjoy the car, and then I'm going to jump out and I'm going to give you my final thoughts. So we've spent the whole morning in this car, and here are my final thoughts. I don't envy car manufacturers right now making cars where they have very strict rules on emissions and sound, and they have to make cars very safe, which means they have to put lots of things in the cars that make the cars heavy, and then they have to find different ways to reduce the weight. So there are certain challenges that modern car manufacturers have, which means that the cars that they're producing are of a certain ilk. So this car has 2 turbochargers in it, and obviously it doesn't have the sound of a naturally aspirated engine. That said, there are a few manufacturers who do produce cars with twin turbos that do sound a lot better than this, namely Mercedes with the C63S, which has a twin turbo engine, and the AMG GTR. That car sounds phenomenally better than this, but that is a V8 engine. This is a V6 engine. Because this is a V6 twin turbo, and you don't have the kind of torque low down that you get from something like a V8 or a V10 or even a V12, which means below 3,000 RPM, you're really having to make the turbos work to give you any of that power. So it can be a little bit jerky, unlike a V8 or even something like a naturally aspirated engine when you've got that lovely linear power delivery. This can be a little bit jerky, and unless you're in that power band, you really have to keep on working the engine, which makes it a little bit tiring to drive. I actually had 2 Alfa Romeo 4Cs, and I always wished that they would increase the engine from a 4-cylinder to a 6-cylinder, and basically that's what this is. This is a grown-up version of the Alfa Romeo 4C. It's got the carbon tub, it's got the twin turbocharged engine sitting behind you that gives you that whoosh as you accelerate, and it is a much faster version of the 4C. But what does that mean? Is it more fun? In my opinion, the 4C is more fun 80% of the time on the road, because you can extract the maximum power from the car. As soon as you put your foot down in this is phenomenally faster than a 4C, and you are going a lot faster. You're breaking the speed limit within a couple of seconds. So, what do I think about the car? Well, first of all, I love the look. I think that the front of this car looks very similar to the MC12, and this color, this matte pearl white, looks absolutely incredible. I love little vents in the front. It's a beautifully designed car. I think they got the design right, and I think that this, as I said earlier in the video, I think this stands out against anything, including lots of hypercars out there. I think if you put this next to any hypercar, it would look good. So the styling, I think they've got right, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. The sound is not great. I think it needs an aftermarket exhaust. The driving feel is really lovely. It's got really light touch to it. The steering is very direct, and there's plenty of power. My conclusion is this, though. This is a car that you could really enjoy as a GT car. So something that you're taking across country, across continents, which means it's also probably a very good daily driver. But I don't think it'd be that exciting as a daily driver, because you just really couldn't exploit it on the roads at average speeds or normal road speeds, legal limits. I think that this really makes sense if you're actually traveling quite a lot, or if you want to do road trips, this would be a lovely car. Would I personally take an Alfa 4C or this on a road trip? And that's actually not something I know the answer to, because this is more comfortable than a 4C, it's a lot faster than a 4C, and it feels more like a supercar. The Alfa 4C feels more like a sports car, which is what it is. This feels like a supercar, it looks like a supercar. I think with a few little extra touches like an aftermarket exhaust, I think it could probably be up there with Ferrari and Lamborghini. Right now, I don't think that this really competes with the Lamborghini Huracan Performante in terms of build quality, but it's something very, very different. I would definitely prefer this to a 911 Turbo S as a daily. I want to say a final thank you to AR Cars. They are absolutely incredible. They have amazing cars in their showroom. They're always sourcing the best supercars. So if you live in Europe, anywhere in the world, give them a call. Hopefully we'll come back if they get something else special in the showroom. Thanks to Magnitude Finance. Don't forget, if you're looking to finance a car from £25,000 upwards and you live in the UK, go to the Magnitude Finance calculator and you can see in under 60 seconds what your repayments will be. I hope you've enjoyed this review of the MC20, a phenomenal car from Maserati. We look forward to bringing you more videos soon. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you soon.